Hi, friends. It's Karen from NATS. I'm so excited to be here today with Jon Skidmore. He will be presenting at our winter workshop in Miami in January. And oh, I hope I see you there, friends. Jon is a licensed psychologist, a performance coach, a singer, an educator, a researcher, an author. We are so lucky to have you, Jon. I'm so thrilled to have you here this morning. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Karen. It's a delight to be here. And one thing I'm excited about is sharing the tools and skills that I have, because they make such a difference in the studio and with the performers, with the students, and with the teachers, that it's just exciting.
Oh, I love that. Now, Jon, you'll be sharing two presentations, actually. The first is the technology of peak performance, and the second is Conquer Stage Fright, Perform with Confidence. Could you give us a quick peek inside what those will be about?
Let me just start with Conquer Stage Fright, Perform with Confidence. Stage fright for years has gotten all the attention, like stage fright is the enemy. Like if I could just somehow not have stage fright, I could perform great.
Right.
But most of us really lack a really solid understanding of the experience of stage fright. It's not uncommon for me to have a group of teachers, seasoned teachers, and I could ask the question, where in your training did you receive an in-depth explanation of the stress response and research-based strategies to manage that? And one or two hands might go up.
Right.
And so that workshop's really going to be about just the nuts and bolts of performance anxiety, the physiological parts of it, the psychological parts of it, and most importantly, the what to do about it. One quick little tip right now I could say is stage fright is not the enemy, and it's not to eliminate. What we want to be able to do is create a way of saying, I want a certain level of energy. And if I'm too excited, if I'm too extreme, if I'm overactivated, I'd like to bring it down. Or if I'm low, I want to be able to bring it up in ways that are helpful and effective. You know, stage fright is one of those things that when we can get off of our stage, we now have the chance to really bring our best. In a sense, that performer that's inside of each of us. We want that performer out there free to sing, free to shine, free to enjoy and to play. And for so many people, that idea of that ultimate freedom, that sense of flow, is a mystery.
Yes.
It's like, how did it happen? Why did it happen? What did I do? How are the stars aligned tonight? What happened? And we often end up feeling very frustrated because we're expecting this great performance, and yet we're not hitting that great performance kind of target. Well, one of the things I've developed as I've taught the psychology of music performance at Brigham Young University for literally over 30 years, I've worked with thousands of performers, but what I've been able to develop is a roadmap to flow, a roadmap to that peak performance experience. And once you understand that, you can start to step back and say, okay, let's not have the expectation that every performance is going to be absolutely stellar, flow in every moment. But when you can start to look at the process we go through, then we can start to say, oh, what can I do to keep improving this? We always want to step out there and just shine and really be in that flow state. Well, it's not a mystery, it's neuroscience. And when you understand the neuroscience behind it, we can really look at what sets it up, what's important to keeping us there in that flow state. And if we get bounced out for whatever reason, how do we get back into it? It's so important to be able to recognize that this peak performance experience is dynamic. It's not like an all or nothing. And so we need to be able to understand it. This is going to be a lot of fun to talk about these tools and skills, because there's three things I see when teachers and students understand this. I see their willingness to perform, like just the willingness to put themselves out there elevates. Like, I'll do that. I can try that. I'll go for that. And then the quality of what they're doing. Now, we're all interested in improving our quality, right? We want that sense of quality to go up. It goes up. And then most importantly, our sense of enjoyment. Like, we're enjoying this experience. This is not torture for hours and hours for 3 minutes of excitement. It's like this process is really, really much more enjoyable. So that's really part of what this idea of how do we step into flow? How do we find that sense of flow? And what are the tools, the techniques, the processes we need to have a part of what we do so we can experience the great performances?
Jon, I think you have a great story about a young student who was speaking to her teacher about stage fright. Can you tell us about that?
This is one of my favorite stories, Karen. I was watching the students file in as they were getting ready for recital. And like seconds before the recital was supposed to start, the student approached her teacher and just looked at her. There was pleading in her eyes, and she goes, "I'm nervous." And I watched the teacher kind of go like,
Yeah.
"You'll do fine." And the young student walked away with no reassurance at all. Her best effort was a sense of, hey, I can encourage you that you're going to do fine. Now, most of us have not been taught as teachers how to manage performance anxiety. We know what we've done, we know what we experienced, we've been to workshops, people have shared certain things, but we basically fall back to what we know. And unfortunately, this was a situation where this teacher did not know what to say in that moment. Now imagine if that teacher would have been able to say, "Susan, you're activated, aren't you?" By the way, activation is the word. Activated is the word I use to replace nervous, anxious, stage fright, performance anxiety. You're just activated. "Susan, you're activated, aren't you?" Well, we've been talking about tools for the last 3 or 4 weeks. Which tool could you practice right now? Maybe the breathing exercise stuff. Great. Go practice that. We'll talk about it Wednesday on our lesson. You got this. And that'd have been a whole different experience for the student. Now, what an exciting thing to have tools and skills that really work. Then the other story that I really love, I had a woman in one of my workshops share the story of being the director of a choir for a documentary. So they're basically putting the soundtrack together. There was a 10-year-old girl that was there who was to be the soloist. She described this soloist, and I think we can all relate to this, pale with nervousness.
Yes.
We can relate to that. We've all seen that, right? Well, the neat thing about this is this director had some tools and skills to use in that moment with this 10-year-old girl. And these will be tools and skills I'll be teaching you in my workshop. And she described using these 2 very simple, direct tools. And she watched this young singer just settle right into an energy and a mindset of, I can do this. She did it great. Now, the thing that's so exciting to me about this is this 10-year-old girl went into a performance setting and was given information that helped her understand what performance anxiety is, how it can be managed. She wasn't shamed. She wasn't embarrassed. She wasn't ridiculed. She wasn't, in a sense, terrorized by her own anxiety. So that to me is one of the powerful things that these tools and skills can do, is they allow us as performers to bring our best out there and have a lot more fun doing it.
Oh, I love that. This is going to be fantastic, Jon. I'm so excited.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and it will be an interactive presentation. So even though,
Great.
I mean, it's going to be a very interactive presentation. So people need to be ready to come out, jump out of their comfort zone, just have a lot of fun as we are interacting with this.
Oh, that's great. That's great to know. Friends, we'll have all the information for you on our website.
It'll be great to see you where it's nice and sunny.
And remember, friends, you can find out all the details that you need on our website about the winter workshop in Miami in January. And we welcome you to register as soon as possible. And of course, if you have any questions or any issues, all of us in the office are ready. You can DM on any of our social platforms and we'll get right back to you. And once again, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you in Miami in January.